Here with the Digital Digest, and today I am excited to be sharing with all of you my unboxing of the Lenovo ThinkCentre Neo Ultra for 2024. Now, this was announced back at CES this year, and since then I have just been waiting for my PR reps to finally send one my way. And lo and behold, today is that day. It retails for roughly $2,000 at the time of this video. I'll include a link in the description. And that is just the entry-level build, because this is a configurable PC. And again, the beauty of this is, unlike any other tiny PC on the market, this is a legitimate workstation that has desktop components on the inside. So for those of you unaware, the majority of systems like this essentially take laptop components and stuff them into an enclosure and call it a mini PC. But here, we're actually getting a 350 watt power supply built in, an Nvidia RTX 4060 GPU with 8 gigs of VRAM that is actually the desktop GPU, not a mobile one. We have an Intel i7 14700 CPU, and 32 gigs of RAM, a half terabyte NVMe SSD. The RAM can be upgraded up to 64 gigs. The internal drives, there are 2 Gen 4 NVMe slots. I believe you can configure this with up to 3 total. It's 2 or 3 terabytes of total storage. But the point here is, again, that you're about to see a machine that's really aimed at small business users. I got to get up for this. Small business users, as well as content creators like myself and many of you that want something really small, similar to a Mac Studio, but with all the power that, well, the Mac Studio simply does not have, especially the ability to run Windows. So this means, again, Lenovo pitches this as being ideal for businesses that want to spend a little and get an AI workstation, because again, with that Nvidia RTX 4060 and NPU, you can do a lot of things with this. And remember, it is really, really small. Now, as I get this out of here, there it is. I'm gonna put it aside, but it's just, this is something I've been waiting for a really long time. And it's because when Apple first introduced the Mac Studio, it had a lot of promise. But for me, as a Windows user and someone who relies on software that simply does not exist in the Apple realm, this was a must-have. And when you think about the 350 watt power supply and the fact that we're getting desktop components, this isn't like the Mac Studio. This is, well, a product that has its own identity. So regardless of what it looks like, let me go ahead and get the box out of here. This is a real PC, and you could use this for a wide variety of things. So the machine itself right here, very, very nice. All what appears to be, it's definitely metal, but I don't know if it's an aluminum or another alloy. And I'll go over ports in a moment, but let's just take a look at what else was bundled in here. So we get a mouse, and I'm not expecting a lot because, again, this is a tiny workstation. So you get your mouse, your power cord, because remember that power supply is built in. This can be configured up to a Core i9, if I didn't mention that, or I should say an Ultra 9. Again, 14th generation. And it's just wild because so many manufacturers, get your standard wired keyboard here, which I'm not really too interested in, but so many manufacturers, especially out of China, have been making machines to basically give all of us an option for a mobile-esque or a NUC, next unit of computing type build, but those are always, again, relegated to being laptop internals stuffed into an enclosure. And I've done reviews on products like that before from different Chinese manufacturers, certainly not household names. And unlike this, here we're getting a household name in Lenovo, build quality and a warranty that you know is legitimate. And then when it comes to what this is going to actually be able to do, that's when things get really interesting. So headphone, microphone combo jack right here at the front. In fact, let me zoom this in, get a nice tight shot for all of you. And I will be opening this up and going through a full review. 2 Type A USB ports, a Type C port, your power button. Then as we turn it around, nothing on the left side, but we do have vPro certification, which is really significant when you think about, again, being able to market this to businesses, both small and medium size, because if it's going to be a workstation, it really needs to be able to cover that. You can drive up to 8 displays with this. Another hallmark of it being a workstation. Unfortunately, no Thunderbolt, and if I had to give any feedback right now, that's the one thing I would have liked to have seen here, but nonetheless, it's not enough to turn me off in any way, shape, or form. So you can see we have DisplayPort, HDMI 2.1, another 2 display ports, and then in addition to that, as I get a look here, power port, another DisplayPort, another Type A port, another HDMI 2.1, another Type A port, and all of these vary in terms of their throughput, but I believe we top out at a gigabit a second. Our networking, I believe, is a 2.5 gig card, so nice to have that on board. I mean, this really has everything, and to me, even though we don't have Thunderbolt, so we're not going to get that 40 gigabit throughput, the 20 is enough. I mean, to get around a gig a second is still, for video editing, photo editing, rendering, all of those things, it's going to be enough throughput. So that's pretty much it. Really clean on the back. Just impressive to have this sort of I/O. And it has a Kensington lock on the left side. And it's just, a beefy little unit. That's the way I would put it. And you can see the ratings. I couldn't in the top-down shot, but you can see that these are both 10 and this is a 20. So this is a 2x2 port right here. So I'm just excited to start using it. Again, for anyone that's wondering, the whole premise here is that because we've got desktop components in a machine that doesn't look or feel like a desktop, and hopefully it runs cool and quiet. Something I didn't show was on the bottom of the unit, and it is weighty. That's where the entire cooling solution is, from what I've seen on the reviewer guide. So essentially, there is a fan here that is going to handle all of the cooling. Not all of it, but the majority of it. So all ventilation out the bottom. But it's going to be interesting to see how quiet this is and how cool it remains. Because again, this is not a laptop stuffed in a box. This is a desktop stuffed in a very small box. One that traditionally would not be the host for these sort of components. Another thing I want to point out is that I've read some articles about this being offered with a 4070, that is an Nvidia RTX 4070 in China. Don't know if that's going to come true in the States, but the whole premise here is we're starting with this. And this isn't even a product yet aimed at regular consumers. That's why it's part of the ThinkCentre line. If that changes, which I hope that it will, I think this, again, can usher in a whole new footprint, literally and figuratively, in the desktop market for both gaming and workstations. I think of being able to use this again for photo and video editing, and then even light gaming. I mean, the 4060 is no joke. And then any AI needs, I mean, that's a big part of what Lenovo's been marketing this for. Very little marketing, but yeah, it's really an inexpensive way to get into AI and keep it small and still be able to drive 8 displays. Kind of perfect for an office PC. But I see this as being perfect for a home PC as well. And again, unlike a Mac Studio, the price is not insane. You're getting desktop performance. It's a desktop 4060. I mean, really, drink that in. 350 watt built-in power supply. I've said this already, but that's because, again, I have been waiting for something like this for a very long time. And look, it's not going to be for everyone. A lot of you would rather just go out and spend $2,000 on a regular PC, a desktop that has an RTX 4080 in it, and I totally get that. But when I put this next to a traditional PC with a 4060, it's just mind-blowing. Now we have to see if the performance follows suit, and I anticipate that it will. But again, really cool to finally have this beast in-house. I see this as being a perfect daily driver. And when you know you need something that can do heavier lifting, you can turn to that. But I really think this is very much a one-size-fits-all for much of the world right now. And then if you do want to do a little light gaming, as I said, that 4060 is not going to drive 4K gaming in AAA titles, but it certainly can get you full HD 1440. So QHD, I think, is going to be very plausible with this. Just really cool stuff. So kudos to Lenovo for doing this. The beginning of a new generation of desktop PCs that, well, don't remind you of desktop PCs. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.